This is a tutorial for how to answer question 1 on paper 2, the American West. And the first question that you'll face in this exam is going to be explain 2 consequences of something. So let's just work our way through what this question is actually asking us. So if it says explain, that means you've got to give a reason for your answer. In this case, you've got to give 2 consequences of the concept of manifest destiny for migration. So 2 results of manifest destiny for migration. How did manifest destiny impact on migration is another way of wording it. So when we get this question, it's an 8-mark question, we roughly spend 10 minutes on this question, and we have to do 2 consequences, 2 big paragraphs, point, evidence and explain paragraphs, and we have to make sure that we spend about 5 minutes on each of these paragraphs. Right, it's worth us just looking at the mark scheme and what the mark scheme is actually asking of you here. So across both paragraphs, you get 4 marks for assessment objective 2, which is the skills in history, and in this case it's your ability to explain a consequence. And you get 4 marks across the 2 paragraphs for assessment objective 1, and this is your knowledge and understanding. This is the facts. And if we'll look down here at level 2 to get 3 and 4 marks, for our AO2, that's the explanation. Features of the period are analysed to explain a consequence, and that's what you're going to get 4 marks across both paragraphs for. And for our AO1, specific information about the topic is added to support the explanation. So it's not vague, it is very subject specific knowledge. In this case, it's going to be about manifest destiny and the results of that, the consequences. Okay, so I've done this answer. I'm just going to take you through the point, the evidence and the explanation. This would be 4 out of 4 for this consequence. One consequence of manifest destiny was that it led to a massive increase in migration to the West. That is my point in red, that first sentence. The evidence you can see is in that orangey colour. This is because many US settlers believed the idea that it was God's will for US settlers to populate North America. This concept suggested that many American settlers believed that the American way of life was superior to other cultures. As a result, American settlers viewed any barriers to migration and settlement, such as the Native Americans, as a barrier to their own progress. As a consequence, when valuable land became available, for example through the Homestead Act in 1862, many US settlers took this opportunity to migrate and settle on land previously only populated by Native Americans. And this is my explanation, linking clearly to the question now. A significant consequence of this was therefore the disruption of the Native Americans' way of life due to increased migration and settlement on natives' land. Now you can see throughout that answer, I've highlighted where I've made links to the question and where I've used them explanation phrases such as a result, a significant consequence. This is because, okay? So this would be 4 out of 4. We've got our point, we've got our evidence to support that point, and our explanation at the end. The other consequence that I'm going to talk about for this one then is going to be the gold rush. So the idea of manifest destiny is that idea that white Americans, US settlers, believed that it was their God-given right to take over land in North America, to civilize the people that lived on it, to make them Christians, and this justified their actions, and this was evident with the gold rush. So my point here, an additional consequence was that manifest destiny encouraged migration, as it encouraged US settlers to migrate to California in order to prospect for gold. There's my point all about the gold rush. As a result of the discovery of gold in the Sierra Nevada mountains in 1848, thousands of migrants left the East and traveled across America on the Oregon Trail to California. These migrants felt that manifest destiny justified this migration, as it was their God-given right to claim this land. As a result of this migration, there was significant disruption to the Native Americans' way of life. Consequently, this mass migration caused by the gold rush often brought the natives into conflict with US settlers as they crossed their land. Point, evidence, explanation, clearly mentioning the focus of the question throughout the answer. Okay, so there's several examples here, several practice questions that you can use as part of your revision. Use the same strategies, use your revision guide and answer each of these questions. 2 paragraphs with clear point, evidence, explanation in each paragraph.